Hello everyone. I figured I'd start early since people are here. How's everyone doing tonight? Hello Naverio and Isabella and Hook. David, hello. Malcolm, Daniel, Ambrose, Logan, Nell. Hello everyone. Hello Franco? Franco, that makes sense. Hello Thomas. Oh no. Hello Nerdy and Ranth Hawkcord. Keep me on the ball with all these funny names, you know. Hello, Math Pesto, and thank you. All right, should we just get right into it? I have I have a bit of a cold actually. So if I happen to cough or need a tissue, that's why. I've had a cold about a week now, which is hilariously stupid. I haven't set a time limit on this one, Naverio, but we'll see how long I can last. I might do a second stream if I'm not feeling like I can go for 2 hours, but or not going for more than 2 hours. We'll go for at least 2 hours, I think. Okay, so let's start with the most pressing question. We're just gonna go straight from the top to bottom. The most pressing question, of course, is if two witches would watch two watches, which witch would watch which watch? No, it's okay. It's okay, Naverio. I'm feeling good enough now that I'm able to do the stream. I definitely wasn't feeling up to it yesterday, and I was thinking about canceling, but I'm thinking it's good now. Uh, now the question of these two witches. Now, there's no differentiation between the witches, so I'm not sure which witch. I'm on a standing desk, actually, Hook, which is why the ceiling looks so close to me. I am also very tall, but I'm at a standing desk, which is why. Hello, Robert. Thank you. Well, I'm not sure which witch is which because there's no differentiation, so I'm gonna have to say which one will watch two and which two will watch one. I'm actually 6'1". Just shy under 6'1". Hello, Rockrat. Which is which? Yeah, okay. So maybe if the question was formed a little bit better, Jovial, then we could answer that one. But I'm thinking which one will watch two and vice versa, just to make sure that the watches are watched appropriately. Okay, Turganus had asked, what's my favorite flavor profile? Now I did look up what flavor profile means, just so I wasn't like missing something technical. But I got like sweet, savory, spicy, salty, and something else. I can't remember. But I think my favorite flavor. Now this is also a tongue twister. My favorite flavor profile would have to be like a spicy plus sweet, like either one of those two. I tend to make. Well, actually, this is the question later on, but I'll answer it right now because it's relevant. Here we go. Stark had asked. Oh, is it on? There we go. Stark had asked, how do I achieve that flavor profile? Can we have recipes? And I achieved that flavor profile using mostly curries and Mexican food. I really like curries and Mexican food, and I'm a vegetarian, and those two things are very easy to make as a vegetarian. Indian food is really easy to make as a vegetarian because Indians tend to be vegetarian because of Hinduism. Uh, but yeah, if you want something that's like sweet and spicy, a good thing is to mix like curry powder and coconut milk, for example, or like sweet potatoes and cayenne spices. That makes for a great spicy and sweet taste. And I really like a specific a specific website for recipes, which is Cookie and Kate. She has some great, fantastic vegetarian recipes and also really good stuff for baking if you like baking. So, Cookie and Kate is the name. All right, so the next question was, where was it here? Musical style. Oh, thank you,Zetamath, for trying to get oh yeah, bibimbap sauce is so nice. For trying to get Zach to get out some questions, but I understand if you had t trouble typing because, typing while dancing is kind of hard, right? Sorry, my fiance is texting me. I started a little bit early here. Oh, she's going to the shower now, so she's actually on a trip, a business trip. I'm gonna grab some tissues. It shouldn't be too much of an issue because I'm all he did it all on his own. Okay, nice. Okay, no, we already did flavor profile. We have to do musical style, not necessarily genre. Well, I'll give a little bit of an extra answer for this because I'm not sure if I can answer musical style. Hello, piano. Uh, Musical style. So this is a really hard question because I don't really know how to condense something into a musical style, but I kind of like to be surprised by the music in some way. Like I like when there's a little bit witty or a little bit like unconventional. Something like I don't know, Pink Floyd or like psychedelic or just surprising in some way, like a jazzy kind of tune is surprising in that way. Some charm to it. I really like the genres like classical rock. I like hip hop slash rap, and I like jazz, of course. And I also am a big fan of musicals and like show tunes. Some artists that I like, for example, are Fleetwood Mac, Queen, NF, Hobson, Logic, and I love the musical Wicked. I've seen it live 5 times, I think, but not anytime recently. But I do love that musical. Film. This one is a little bit tricky because I've seen a lot of films recently that I didn't really love. I mean, I haven't seen that many films recently, but yeah, I've seen a lot of films that I really like, but not a lot that I've liked recently. Yeah, I have seen with Idina Menzel. Thank you, Brain, for that. But if I was gonna sort of like off the top of my head, like what's my favorite movie? I don't know. I think I could watch Groundhog Day anytime. So that's really funny that Groundhog Day just popped into the chat just as I said it. Yeah, Groundhog Day with Bill Murray is such a good movie. So yeah, Wicked would answer the watch question. For game, I'm assuming this is video game. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is really good, Isabella, but I don't know. I feel weird saying Lord of the Rings is my favorite movie. That seems really weird to me for some reason. Also because there's 3 movies. Yeah, it just feels weird. Uh, well, board game. Zeta had asked about board games, so I'll answer a video game right now. I don't play as many video games as I used to. Hello, Smart Hobbies. Thanks for that. Hello, Creeks as well. Um, and Kuraban. I don't think I said hello to you. Uh, I don't play as many video games as I used to. I still play Civ 5 every now and then, Civilization 5, and that's definitely one of my favorite games I've played I don't know, 600 hours of Civ 5. It's a very fun game. I used to be really, really good at Killing Floor 2. And I also love Slay the Spire. That's one of my all-time favorite games. So I think those three are totally my top three is Civilization 5, Killing Floor 2, and Slay the Spire. I'm a very PC sort of gamer. And they're all quite different genres as well. So those are the kind of genres I like, are sort of a first-person shooter where you can do lots of things like melee and stuff. I'm a main berserker in Killing Floor 2. Yes, I did play Monsters Train as well. Uh, I didn't like it as much as Slay the Spire, personally. Um, there's this really fun mobile game. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. It's about cults, and it's like Slay the Spire or Monster Train, but it's just like a very small game. It's really fun. I can't remember what it was called, but it was really fun. Maybe I'll find that at some point, because I think you'd really enjoy it if you like Slay the Spire. I played it like a little bit and then it got repetitive, but it's a really fun thing uh, if you don't know all the quirks beforehand. Rule set, I think my favorite my favorite rule set or cultist simulator maybe. I'm not sure. I feel like that one. I feel like it's not that one actually, because I remember that one has ties to someone being racist or something, and I don't think that was the same one. I think the creator of Cultist Simulator is a very edgy dude. And I don't think it was the same one. But I think I've heard of Cultist Simulator before. Anyways, rule set. I think my favorite rule set for Sudoku at least would be Killer Sudoku, which brings us to our next question, which is on the screen already. Is Jovial's, if I had to pick one Sudoku variant to set for and solve for the rest of my life, which would it be and why is it killer? Well, it is killer, actually. And Jovi knows that that's my answer, of course. I can't stay away from killer. I love it too much. I I don't even really love arithmetic that much, but I love all the deductions that you can do with killer that aren't even arithmetic. There's just so much breadth you can do, and there's beautiful combos of deductions that you can do with killer that you can't really get the same feel from in other puzzles. I think like deduction combos are things that I really like, which is like a quick set of flowy deductions, and I feel like it's really easy to set that up with killer. And also, it's probably the only variant that if I sit down and start playing with it, that I know I'm gonna find something that I really like. So that is a good thing. Killer tutorial video when? I already did a how to set an easy puzzle with killer, but uh, if I wanted to go more advanced with killer, uh, it might get a bit silly because sometimes I spend lots of time. And also ZetaMath has a killer tutorial stream if you want to check that one out. I think my most recent puzzle is the one I hate the most, Killer Sudoku. One of the most killer Sudoku puzzles I've ever read. Oh, okay. I thought you said hate, but it was a mistype of the. Okay, anyways, moving on from killer, which is a fantastic genre. Grockles had asked if you could bring one historical figure back from the dead, who would it be and why haven't you done this already? How dare you keep this amazing power to yourself? Humanity needs this. Uh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this question is really for me. I mean, I like history. I do like history a lot, but I don't know if I'm super interested in meeting any historical figure in particular. I think maybe, well, actually, no, I'll just stick with Leonardo da Vinci because I think it'd be really interesting to sit down and talk to Leonardo da Vinci about just all the things because it seems like he's a pretty crazy dude. So it'd be interesting to talk to him. But I'm not sure why I exactly want to talk to him. My Latin's not good, so it would probably would be a difficult conversation, but then teach him about Sudoku, yeah. See if he can set some Sudokus for me. And then I can get a CTC feature of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci sets a Sudoku. Okay, moving on. And why haven't I shared this power with the world? It's because I can't decide. I'm not sure who to bring back. Okay, Woofers. Woofers had asked a few questions. The first of which was, did I already have other types of content in mind, setting discussions, setting spotlights when you first started streaming 4 months ago? I didn't have exactly the setter spotlight and setting discussions. Well, I had sort of the idea of setting discussions, but I didn't have exactly these ideas in mind. Uh, but I definitely knew that I wanted to discuss setting in this in my YouTube channel. And I always said, hello, Codec. I always said to well, I said to Kagisho a few times before I set this up that I really wanted some kind of forum to discuss puzzle setting where the conversations wouldn't just be like lost to an infinite scrolling of Discord. And I really wanted somewhere where people could go, where I could send people to be like, hey, if you want to learn more about this thing, go check out this stream. Or go check out this pre-recorded video, go check out this. So that's why I set this up, pretty much. Because yeah, I felt like it was everything was getting buried and I wanted to get the discussions more open. What was the other question he had with that? How did you come up with the ideas for non-solving streams, which are pretty different from what any other Sudoku channel is doing right now? Well, as I said, I really enjoy discussing setting, and I thought other people might be interested in discussing setting as well. And apparently I was right. So I wanted to give people an opportunity to discuss setting in an open environment. And my first sort of idea was to have this sort of open, almost podcast where guests would come on and come off, just talking about general puzzle things, and the conversation would take us wherever we wanted. So then people could like bring up anything really. Like someone could come up on here and say like, hey, Logic Masters Germany is not interested in publishing any Fog of War puzzles. I want to talk about that for like 10, 20 minutes. And then we talk about that for 10, 20 minutes. And then someone else would say, hey, I want to talk about this. And then they would come up and they would talk about whatever they want to talk about for 20 minutes. And I thought that would be an interesting idea for a stream or for a discussion. But when I first tried to do that, there was like 5 people in the chat and no one was volunteering because why would you when there's 5 people in the chat, right? So then I was like, well, I'm going to get Neverio to sign up and I'm going to get this person to sign up. And then I decided, hey, I mean, maybe we should have a specific topic of discussion when we set these things up. And then people can think about their process beforehand. So then I started doing the setter discussion, like or Sudoku setting discussions, where you had a set topic and we were talking about that set topic. And then that somehow got me into thinking, well, maybe we can do a longer form with just one person, because it feels like the 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's all not long enough for these people to get their thoughts out. And even if it's just on one topic, so maybe we need more like a 2-hour period for each individual setter to talk about their thoughts. So then I'm a giant with this low ceiling. I'll have to figure something out about that. I might actually adjust my standing desk so it's a sitting desk and get a chair or something, actually. Memeristor is a giant. Yes, it can't be solved on paper or pencil. That's the exact problem, Eric McGee. Anyways, we're getting a little bit away from what the original discussion. Yeah, so that's sort of how I came up with these non-solving streams. Is that was the initial idea, and then we cascaded from there. The next question is from Woofers as well. Which setters are still on my wish list to interview? Well, actually, Chris, Thomas, and I think someone else asked that question. I'll answer it right now. The only reason right now, really, to sign up for my Patreon is to know ahead of time what setters are in the pipeline for being interviewed. So I don't want to give away that information. Because it would mean that there's no real reason to sign up for my Patreon other than to support me. So I won't be talking about which setters I will be interviewing or whatnot. But I might talk a little bit about the process of how I pick people for setting, but for the setting interviews. But anyways, the process to prep for setting spotlight. Setter spotlight streams, and how long does it take me to prep for a setter spotlight stream? Well, how long does it take me? It could take me anywhere from maybe 6 to 12 hours, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. My process is sort of a multifaceted process, and it's trying to optimize my time, essentially. So I build up these setter mosaics, right? Where like the one behind me for myself. I know what you mean, Eric, and I know what you mean, Chris, but the short list is also sort of a secret. The mosaics I set up, I take videos of people solving the puzzles, and then I take screenshots of those videos mid-solve so that I can set up this mosaic of partially solved puzzles. And while I'm doing that, I'm actually listening to the videos for insight on how the solvers, whether it be Simon or Zeta or Mark or Bremster or Ranks, how they are reacting to the puzzles, what the puzzles are making them feel. And I'll note down any particular moments of excitement that I could maybe use in an intro video. But really, I'm trying to get a sense of how do people react to the puzzles of this setter, and what is the style of this setter that people are most interested in, because the things that are featured or the things that are solved on streams are the things that people are most interested in, I think, from this setter, and the things that they're most famous for. So I'm looking at those very, very carefully, and then I go through and I'm making notes along the way. Then I go to LMD and I look through their puzzles. I look at their comments. I look through the LMD search feature. I know the LMD search feature is brilliant. It allows you to do lots of cool things, like search for their most changed puzzle, for example, like how many edits they've done. That has led to a number of questions like that led me to knowing certain weird details, like, oh, I knew that that Fisnafel had changed this puzzle because it had no solutions at one point. So that led me to ask how he tested in the early days, for example. So lots of little details get you to weird places there, and weird things that I note down over the course of this whole process can lead to lots of different questions, and they often get condensed down to like 5, maybe 15 questions. I also put together an intro video, which takes quite a bit of time. They do take quite a bit of time to set up. Then if I have extra time, I'll look through like Discord posts, Discord mentions. I'll look at their reaction to features they got in video discussion, like how many people are reacting. Look at their debut, like their debut, their debut, um, their debut in video discussion, and see who's responding to that, and see who is saying like, oh, finally you got featured, sort of thing. I think that's really valuable for knowing sort of the community around. I'll sometimes discuss with the setter, or I'll discuss with other community members for insight about the setter. And then I throw together about 5 to 15 personalized questions for the setter, which I put in a Google document with all my other base questions, which we'll be getting into when I'm trying to answer these questions, these base questions. Sorry, I shouldn't do the sniffing. I'll blow my nose. Kodak, I tend to look through like specific Discord posts. Like I'll look through like Sudoku testing submissions posts, or I'll look at the feedback section of the post, or etc. etc. Eric McGee, you didn't miss the how did you come up with that username? I don't think we've gotten there yet. But yeah, that's essentially the process for Setter Spotlight stream. Sometimes I spend more time, sometimes I spend less time. Hello, Stefan Bura. Sometimes I spend more time, sometimes I spend less time on the prep for it, depending upon how well I know the person, or how many puzzles I've solved with the person. Do I know their style already, etc., etc. This next question, Rom Planer had asked, imagine you're the editor of a newspaper that publishes puzzles. You'd like to introduce variant Sudoku puzzles to your readership. Until today, they've always gotten 3 classic Sudokus and 1 killer completely filled with boxes. Any previous attempt to change anything has caused furious reactions. Space is limited, so you need to replace another puzzle. What would you do? I don't know. I'm not too familiar with newspapers, but I really don't care that much like about the furious reactions. I think it's usually a minority that's upset. If I was to be in this situation, I would probably replace maybe the medium difficulty classic Sudoku with one that that is just some variant, a surprise variant probably, and maybe change it every single day, so that, or every single however many times you release this puzzle, what periodicity it is, change it up every single time so that it's consistently changing, so there's no reason to be angry about it, and you're used to the change because it's a consistently changing thing. I don't know, that's just what I'd say, but I don't know. I'm not a puzzle newspaper editor, and I have no experience in that. So for the ones that Stefan Burr had suggested, I think we might come back to those at the end of the Discord questions and answer those or look through them, because there's quite a few. Oh no, I would replace it with a similar medium difficulty or easy difficulty. I think the Stefan Bureau one was a bit of a joke, but but I'll still look through them. I'm not sure which ones I want to answer. They're all kind of personal, but okay. Out of the puzzle, a KNTCC on April 1st. That's a good idea. Out of the puzzles you set, what are your top 5 favorites and top 5 bests if you think they're different? I do think they're a bit different in the same way that yeah. I know it's a famous survey, but Okay, and other puzzles you set, what are the top 5 favorites? What are the top 5 best? I do think they're a bit different in the same way that Zeta says they're a bit different. I would say my top 5 puzzles, if I could go here, let me see here. Oh, that's wrong. Okay. My bad. Let me grab. Where am I trying to go? Oh, you blasted thing, come on. Oh, my word. It thinks there's too many windows open. So it's not letting me. Okay. You're very frustrating. You rotten thing, yeah. Okay, so we're not doing that apparently, because it won't, unless I can. There we go, there we go. Finally. Finally, okay. I should have brought these up in meantime, but my favorite. Okay, so let's start with my favorite puzzles. My top 5 favorite puzzles. In no particular order, I would say my favorite puzzles are almost there. Okay, in no particular order, I'd say my favorite puzzles are Motel. So this one with the numbered rooms and the J-Dyer deconstruction. I think this is my first J-Dyer deconstruction puzzle, and I really wanted to set a J-Dyer deconstruction puzzle, so I'm really happy that this turned into an actual puzzle. It took quite a while to set this one, but it was. How do I deal with things that are freezing up and are loading? I don't know, I just panic. Yeah, Motel definitely is one of my favorite puzzles that I've set. Another favorite puzzle that I set is this this one called Stack. I know it's 3 out of 5, maybe even 2 out of 5, if you find the break-in really fast. And it's something that I set sort of with Cogito, a bit with Cogito. So this is sort of a very interesting thing because I took one break-in that I had from a different puzzle and I stacked it on top of another break-in that I had from a different puzzle, and I put those together, and then I just needed help finishing the puzzle, so then Cogito helped me finish the puzzle out. But I really enjoyed setting up 2 different break-ins in the same puzzle and having them sort of stacked on top of each other so they cascade into each other. And I just love that so much. And I was really happy with how this puzzle turned out. And it's basically 3 puzzles in one for me, in terms of like emotional, because I spent so long setting each one of these individual puzzles. So it's like 3 puzzles in one. I actually have, oh, okay. There's one more that I didn't bring up here, but let me see if I can find it here. There we go, at the top. The other one that I'm really proud of is this this ranked, what is it called? Ranked top 9 best digits. I really love this puzzle. It's probably one of, I don't want to say one of my best puzzles because I have a top 5 best puzzles that it doesn't include this actually, but this is probably one of my top 10 best puzzles I would think. and I want to think this is one of my best puzzles, but I'm not sure it actually is. I really love the logic in this, and it's a new sort of variant that's more of a contest variant that I loved taking the logic and making it a little bit harder. That was really fun for me. Sardines is another one of the puzzles that I think is just is top 5 favorite puzzles I've ever made. Just because one, this was actually this bottom 9 box was inspired by a puzzle that I made for Zeta Math that was for his birthday that used double arrows. But this one I did the same idea using single arrow, but then I set up these boxes, the box 2 and box 4, and I love box 2 and box 4. They just work so well together, and the arguments in these boxes are very much killer type arguments in an arrow puzzle, which is I like killer type arguments. Speaking of killer type arguments, I think probably my favorite puzzle of anything I've ever set is this one. It's called Pinch Yourself, and it's the one that was featured and has this empty cage that eluded Simon so much, and I think it was just hilarious. It eluded him so much, but I thought this puzzle was really good. It really came together, and I think it's in my top 5 best puzzles. So now we'll transition to my top 5 best puzzles. Those were my top 5 favorite puzzles. So Sardines, Stack, Motel, top ranked 9 best digits, and Pinch Yourself would be my top 5 favorite puzzles that I've made. My top 5 best puzzles are Pinch Yourself, definitely, is one of them. The other one that is a killer, I would say, is Wisdom, which is a puzzle that I made with Clover. I set up the break-in to this puzzle with these 12 cages and this 18 cage, and then Clover added this 11 cage and this 6 cage, and then she also had some ideas in box 5, which she set up, and then we made a final puzzle, and then box 5 eluded me. I didn't understand it. I just couldn't deal with it. And it was something that the testers had said that they didn't understand either completely. So then I decided that I was going to remove that and then put in this other idea that I had with these 12 cages, these little 12 cages, the 2-cell ones. And it ended up being a good puzzle. And the other one was also a good puzzle, but I ended up finishing it myself because Clover was a little bit busy at that time. So I really like this puzzle, and I love the 11 cage and the 6 cage and how Clover put that in, and it really helped me to finish off this puzzle in a way like the style of the finish was not my style, I would say. So I'm really glad that she helped me there. Wisdom is definitely one of my best puzzles that exists. Another best puzzle that exists is as Kenneth was saying, Miser or Messier. I used to say Miser. Messier 43 is definitely one of my best puzzles that I've ever made. This one with the spiral galaxies and the equal sum lines. I am really happy how it turned out, and I really loved that feature. Another one that I feel like, which was also featured, that I feel like is like my first really good puzzle, is Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, which I still think really holds up as a really good puzzle. And I really enjoy the way that the thermos were worked into this. I hated the idea of disambiguating the ending without adding extra logic to it, but the way the thermos work in this puzzle is better than I think I've disambiguated any other puzzle even since then. So I'm really glad that I didn't give up with disambiguating it with thermos because of the whole, oh, maybe you shouldn't disambiguate with two-cell thermo because it looks stupid. But I'm really glad I did stick in there and find that logic. Okay, so the last one that I think is my top 5 best puzzles, and probably number 5, I would say, is Bose-Einstein condensate, which is a Schrodinger cell puzzle, which is a very difficult puzzle, but I love it anyway. It's between lines, and I remember after finishing this puzzle, after finishing working on it, I was just like, I'm never setting with between lines, or I'm never setting with Schrodinger cells ever again, because it was just so hard to set up this entire puzzle using Schrodinger cells. I don't think between lines and Schrodinger cells should be mixed. It does not make for a quality experience for the setter, but man, this puzzle is good. I really like this puzzle. I rewatched a solve of it from I want to say Zeta had solved it. I rewatched a solve of it a couple months ago, and I was like, whew, did I come up with that? That's really good. I really like that. Yeah, it's a terrible combination of constraints, but it's a good puzzle anyway. Yes, they're horrendous, but they're definitely great in their own right. Now this question, the next question up here, that's my top 5 best puzzles is Messier 43, Bose-Einstein condensate, horseshoes and hand grenades, wisdom, and pinch yourself. The next question here is from Andrew Sakis, and it's, if someone were to set a puzzle titled Memeristor's Nightmare, what would the constraints be? And I'm not sure, because I feel bad saying that I wouldn't like to solve any certain constraints, because I'm really up for almost anything. I feel like most things, when people tell me them these days, I'm like, whew, that sounds a bit rough. But I think I'm up for solving almost anything these days, but I'm not sure. I think another chaos construction S-cell puzzle doesn't need to exist. Speaking of Ni plus ultra, I don't think another chaos construction S-cell puzzle needs to exist. And I think if you made another one of those, I really wouldn't want to solve it. So that might be Memeristor's Nightmare. maybe a chaos construction between lines S-cell puzzle. That would be, yeah, that would be my nightmare, I think. Woofers asked, what are you studying in university? What is it like balancing between studying, running a YouTube channel, and studying solving puzzles? Well, I balance my time hopefully no one 11 tools. Hello Isabella, and hello 11 as well. Well, I'm balancing my time very poorly these days, to be honest. I've been setting / solving substantially less these days, which kind of sucks, but it's because of the YouTube channel, because I have to keep up with this. And I know when I need to take the time to study or to work on something for my studies, and I make sure that I do that, but also it's hard with the projects that have no definite end, like my thesis. I think my thesis has really suffered because of the channel. Oh, and what am I studying in university? I forgot to get to that. I'm studying I'm in a master's of physics studying in the complexity science branch of physics. I primarily am a computational physicist, and I work with these simulations of electronic materials that mimic the brain. So a bit of complexity science, a bit of physics, a bit of material science, and then just the sprinkle of neuroscience in there as well. I'm gonna grab a drink of water actually because my throat is starting to get dry. And I forgot to bring my water to the computer. Yeah, but that is what I'm doing with my life. We already answered Stark's question. If you didn't see it, you can go back. So they're not silicon chips, Malcolm. They're okay. So I didn't want to get into the technicalities of it, but but I work with these nanowire networks. So they're wires on a nanoscale that cross, and when they cross, they have this property that you can infuse into them where they're memeristive, and that's where my name comes from actually, is these memristors, they have a memory resistance. So they sort of act in a way and a sort of thresholding with the current. So they act in sort of the same way that synapses in your brain act. So in a way, these nanowires in this mesh of nanowire connected across two electrodes, it acts as sort of a memory foam, sort of a neural network, with the weights being these memeristive junctions. It's quite. I'm trying to explain it in like words that can be made sense, but yeah, exactly. 11. How many cats is the correct number of cats? Is something that so Skynet. No. Daniel Silverstone had asked, how many cats is the correct number of cats? Well, you can't have too many cats. So I think 10 to infinity, maybe, is the correct answer. It depends how tall they are. And Isabella had asked, how many cats do you have and what are their names? Well, there's Clark and there's Benny. I have 2 cats. Clark is 7 years old and Benny is 1 year old. I'll grab Benny here because he's right here. Say hello to the people. Hello, Panthera. He's being really lovey right now because his mom is gone. Okay, we'll keep you around. I'll grab Clark a little bit later. Don't let me forget. Directionary had asked, what's your end goal after physics grad school? Teaching, NASA, CERN, industry. My end goal, I sort of always wanted to be a faculty member of a university, like at a research university with my own research group and teaching grad or undergrad courses. But recently I've sort of been thinking that I would prefer more teaching and less research. I really love research. Sorry. I really love research and I'm passionate about these things and I like communicating these things, but I don't really like academia that much, so I still have to work that out. But overall, I feel like teaching is my calling, which kind of sucks because I've been doing less teaching this semester. Well, been doing less teaching next semester, but this semester is less teaching than last semester at least. Yes, indeed. Sorry, my nose is the only thing that doesn't let up. Yeah, Panther, I might end up teaching high school or something like that. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. I really don't want to go into, because you'll have to get an education degree, and I really don't want to write essays, but we'll see. But my dream was always to work with telescopes, but I'm definitely not doing that anymore. Um, yeah, we'll see. Zeta Math, what does your fiance think about puzzles and this hobby? Well, my fiance thinks that the hobby is a little bit silly. She's happy to talk with me about it, but she'll try like an easier puzzle, but she's not really into it. So that's, I mean, whatever. Uh, and just to clarify for the second question about my fiance, I don't know if I feel comfortable going into like how we met or the proposal story or anything like that. Uh, I mean, I'm comfortable with it, but I think she won't be as comfortable with it, to be honest. So I'm not going to go into that. Now, what question did nobody ask think to ask you but should have, and what's the answer to that? Well, the thing is that the question that I thought no one asked me was asked about 30 minutes before the stream started. So I thought of an answer to a question that nobody had asked me, but someone asked it just 30 minutes before the stream started. So well, we might come back to that at the end with the other questions from Stefan Burra. But for now, we'll move on. Zeta Math had asked, "Do you have a favorite board game or card game?" Well, as I mentioned, well, I didn't mention actually because we skipped the question. Um, well, anyways, as I didn't mention, uh, I really like TTRPGs. So I've only ever played Dungeons and Dragons and Ten Candles, but I've heard lots of great things about other games, and I love the style of game. So those are definitely in the favorite board slash card game slash TTRPG game. And as for board games, I'm a big fan of Carcassonne, uh, Catan, Code Names. I've been recently playing Dominion, which is great. There are definitely others, but I'm a pretty sort of basic board game player. Like I'll play pretty much anything. I'm very competitive, so I'll play pretty much anything. Yeah, I know it's pretty basic to like Carcassonne and Catan. I do DM Malrog. I haven't actually played D&D in a really in almost over a year, actually. I've just been DMing for a year, well, a year and a half. Before that, I played D&D. Um, as for what country I've always wanted to visit, which is a question from Directionary, I've always wanted to go to South Korea, actually. I'm not set on a particular place in the country, but I would love to visit a few of the major cities. I love Korean food. Spicy and sweet is good. And someone else brought up bibimbap before. Uh, yeah, and I like their culture as well. I'm not into K-pop. I mean, I could listen to it, but I'm not really into it. But I used to be really into competitive gaming. Not so much anymore, but I used to be like Simon, and I would follow the StarCraft 2 scene. StarCraft 2 is a great game, and the people who play it in South Korea are just insanely good. It's crazy. So I'd love to see a GSL or something. That'd be awesome. But yeah. How's grad school going for me? Is the question by Rockcrack Zero. And how many hoops have I had to jump through? Well, as I said sort of before, I've been doing well, like I have been doing really well. It's Korea versus Korea, that's hilarious. Would you ever stream some gameplay? Uh, I'm sort of terrible at most games. I mean, I'm good at, as I said, I'm good at Civ. I'm good at Killing Floor 2. I'm good at, well, I'm not great at Killing Floor 2. I'm good at Killing Floor 2. Uh, and I'm good at Slay the Spire. Well, I'm decent at Slay the Spire, but I'm better at games and Darkest Dungeon. So I'm better at games where I can sort of think through my decisions rather than like a tactical shooter or something. I'm very bad at like CS:GO, for example, or I'm very bad at StarCraft 2. I'm terrible at StarCraft 2. I also like what is it called? Oh, auto chess games. Like auto battlers. I love auto battlers, but I haven't played them in forever. And you really need to know the meta for an auto battler, and I don't know the meta of any of the auto battlers. So I'd probably be terrible if I try to play now, but I really like them too. Anyways, so back to grad school. As I said before, I've been doing well, but this year has been sort of tougher than the rest. Hello, Rolandson. Uh, thanks so much. Oh, that's great. That's great that you set your own puzzle, your own puzzles. Love to solve one at some point. Uh, yeah, I'm taking quantum mechanics right now, which I'm much less confident in than anything I've taken before in grad school, which kind of sucks because yeah, I've been doing very well academically in grad school, so it kind of sucks to sort of be kicked in the shins with this quantum stuff. But I love the teaching part of it more than anything, which kind of sucks because I got a grant, which is good, obviously, but they took away my teaching hours, which kind of sucks. But overall, it's been good. Uh, David Ratner had asked, do you have any hobbies or enjoy doing anything or collect anything outside of puzzling? It definitely is completely illogical to do quantum. Um, well, I don't really collect anything, and of course I love puzzle setting and puzzle solving. I do run D&D for my friends, as I said, and that's sort of my main hobby outside of puzzles. I like TV and movies and cooking. I occasionally do jigsaw puzzles, and I like board games, but I don't get to play them that often. I have a modest cat collection, that's correct, Zeta Math. So I don't have too many hobbies outside of puzzle setting, but it's a uh, pretty absorbing hobby. So I also have YouTube, of course. Cats have collected me. Yeah, maybe. Um, the other question was when I first started off YouTube channel or puzzle setting, how or what were my realistic goals or expectations? Well, first of all, when I first started out setting puzzles, I sort of just did it as sort of a one-time thing until I get Memeristor or whatever, the one with the top hat and glasses. Um, yeah, I sort of just set out to do it one time just to prove that I could do it. And it turned out that I really enjoyed setting puzzles. So it just kind of spiraled out of control, and almost like a month in, I was setting 1 to 2 puzzles a day. That certainly slowed down now, but I wasn't expecting to be setting so often and to have this sort of take over my life, basically. Um, I was solving for almost a year before I started setting puzzles, so I wish I had gotten into it sooner. For the channel, I wasn't sure what to expect. I think the sort of steady growth that we've had is more or less what I expected. I sort of expected more from myself, to be honest. I'm I'm a competent communicator of like science and stuff. So for some reason it's taken me longer to adjust to this platform and this style of speaking, I guess, than than I had anticipated. I sort of expected to be more comfortable and relaxed than I have been, I feel. I feel like I've been a little bit more stressy and anxious and awkward on stream than I had expected from the get-go, but it's starting to fade a little bit, and I hope you guys agree with me. Um, my only real goal was when I started the channel was to create a space for people to discuss setting and have it sort of open to anyone and able to discuss freely and have it actually recorded and organized in a way. So I think I've done that already, and we already have this platform to discuss, so I'm glad people are discussing. Yes. Yes, when text is just appearing on screen and you can't see anyone's face or reaction, it's quite a bit different than when you're trying to communicate in a presentation or something. Um, and I think science communication has a lot more preparation to it, which was a bit surprising to me that I needed that preparation, because I really don't like to have a script or anything when I'm communicating in science. So I thought, hey, this is the same thing. There's no script. So yeah, it's not the same, actually. Chip, you're funny. Um, and how these goals or expectations change now that everyone waits with uneven breath to see who will be interviewed next, along with your name getting more recognition out there in the community. Uh, yeah, as the channel as the channel grows and I start to view this whole thing a little bit more more seriously, I mean, been doing this for a few months, and I know that I really enjoy it, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Uh, and I would really love at some point to be able to have this be sustainable, of course. But I know that's pretty far off. But my goals right now are to sort of keep up with the weekly schedule and eventually expand to more innovative ideas, uh, like ones that I'm going to get into in just a second. Well, sort of. Um, as for the setting part of it, I feel like my name is getting a lot more recognition. I'm quite proud of my recent feature, and I feel like I've gotten from some like serious recognition for the work that I've put into this hobby, which is very nice. I feel like at some point before it wasn't quite as clear whether or not I had sort of made it in the setting community, but now I feel like I have sort of made it in the setting community. I think this channel has definitely uh, helped me to realize that. Daniel Silverstone had asked, when will you be interviewing Simon and Mark? I don't know. I mean, I've sort of been toying with the idea of interviewing community members like Simon and Mark, and maybe even kicking off the series by interviewing Simon and Mark, or Mark, maybe individually. I would have to find some sort of creative ideas of questions to ask them, since they've answered quite a lot of questions on streams or on their podcast or on a Q&A video that they've done for, what was it, like 10,000 subscribers or something? That was forever ago, I guess. Just asked the same questions that were the audience asked then. Malarog had asked, how do you decide which setters to interview, and which one have you not interviewed that you'd most likely like to, and why? Well, actually, I can answer. Hello, Unboxed Warehouse, and thank you. Interview plus StarCraft 2 match, yeah. I think Simon might win that, actually. I'm terrible at StarCraft 2. Balrog had asked this question, and how do I decide which setters to interview? Well, sort of at the beginning of interviewing the setters, I was trying to look for sort of a mix of difficulties that people go for, which is kind of why I did the two a little bit more moderately difficult people, and then the two a little bit less difficult people, and I try to mix and match the styles of the people that I'm interviewing, and I don't want to leap too far from one interview to the next. So I want people to be somewhat in the same category, if you will, between one and the other. And that's an interesting point, Chip. Have you interviewed Ard van de Wetering? No, I haven't, but I have reached out to Ard van de Wetering, and the answer is no. He's not interested in interviewing, which is the answer to which one have you not interviewed and would most like to, and why. That's why I haven't interviewed him, is because he actually doesn't want to be interviewed. There's a language barrier there, and he doesn't feel like he would be good in an interview or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he said. I sent my patrons exactly what he sent me in response to my question, but yeah, there was a few. Why would I most want to interview him? I don't know. I would really like to just know what's inside his head. I mean, why do I want to interview any of these people? I want to know what they're thinking and how they're thinking, and how they came up with these crazy ideas. I mean, there are certain puzzles, like what was that one with that? Was it just a massive Dutch whispers? That was just ridiculous by art. That was just insane. And then why do I want to interview him? I think a lot of people feel the same way. They're very interested in what he wants to say. So, in a sense, I want to interview him because I think it would get a lot of attention. That's definitely a reason why I want to interview uh, certain people, is because I think it'll get a lot of attention, and I want to drive this channel forward. I mean, I'm not afraid to admit that I want success, right? Um, and then Leo had asked, do you have any near or longer term future plans or dreams for the channel that you're willing to share at the moment? Well, this is exactly what I was saying. Had been asked about 30 minutes before I started, that I thought no one had asked, and then I was going to ask myself for the for the question Ambrose had asked, where what's the question no one has asked you? Well, uh, so something that I'd really like to make that I haven't made yet, and I feel like it would take quite a bit of work, but yeah, maybe he'll have a change of heart. I did say to him that if he ever feels like he wants to contact me, he's welcome to. There's no like animosity from the denial to interview or anything like that. So hopefully in the future he will be able to do so. Anyways, so I would really like to do some more accessible content where I can show people that setting puzzles isn't actually that scary. Now, I've tried to sort of do this with the live setting and the approachable setting and all that, but if you've ever watched Matt Colville, I'll link in the description if I remember to link in the description, but he's made a series of videos called Running the Game, which shows people that DMing in tabletop RPGs is not as hard as it looks. It's actually much easier than it looks. Now, I want to do that idea for setting. I also want to continue these interviews, of course. I want to have more discussions and more live setting or pre-recorded setting. I'd love to do live setting again. That was so much fun to collaborate with the chat in setting process. That was a lot of fun. And I'd love to do that more often. I'd love to do like collabs live while collaborating with chat as well. Like bring on a guest and set a puzzle together. And you guys can help me to keep doing this and to do more of this if you support me, whether that's supporting me financially or supporting me through kind messages or sharing my content or liking the stream. All those things are very much appreciated. So if you haven't liked the stream, like the stream. And if you haven't shared my content before with someone who you think might be interested, share the content. And if you have money to spend and you're liking my content, feel free to support me on Patreon or on Ko-Fi or Coffee or whatever it is, where you can make one-time donations if you prefer that rather than a sort of monthly fee. I know people sometimes prefer the one-time donation versus the monthly fee approach. So Ko-Fi supports that, and it'll go straight into my PayPal without any subtraction. Like Patreon takes a subtraction out, Ko-Fi doesn't. Anyway, so Logan Wall had also asked, what is your favorite perturbation of the hydrogen atom? I don't have a favorite perturbation of the hydrogen atom. As I said before, I really don't like quantum mechanics. It's completely unintuitive to me. But maybe like a sine wave, because I like sine waves. And I feel like I could probably solve that problem. And who's your favorite 20th century physicist and why is it Dirac? Well, it's not Dirac, actually. It's Ising. I like the Ising model. Yes, I'm a complexity science person, and I like the Ising model. Dirac impulses. Okay, let's go back up to where was it? Ambrose's question. Yes, there we go. What is a question that nobody think to ask you? What question did no one think to ask you but should have? And what is the answer to that? Well, one question that no one asked me is, what's my favorite TV show? And I do like TV quite a bit. And my answer to that question would be BoJack Horseman. I think it's either BoJack Horseman, Breaking Bad, or maybe The Boys. And if you look at a common theme between those, it's sort of the lewd humor. I really like the lewd humor. It's just so good. I haven't seen Archer, but I feel like I probably should, if it's similar to BoJack. But BoJack Horseman is so good. The Boys is so good. I just rewatched The Boys. And of course, Breaking Bad. Everyone knows Breaking Bad is so good. I haven't watched Rick and Morty either. I'm sort of thrown off by the whole people think they're smarter for watching Rick and Morty sort of thing. And it's a physics thing, isn't it? Like a time travel physics thing. And I feel like physics fiction is just always terrible. Like, it makes me cry how terrible physics fiction is. Yeah, I know what Archer is, but I just haven't watched it before. Okay, now before we move on to me watching any hacking scene in a movie, before we move on to the base questions that I always ask every single person. Thanks, Panthera. See ya. Have fun exercising. Before I go through those questions, we'll go through some of the questions that Stefan had wanted me to answer. Yes, Interstellar is... Whew. Game designers in movies, yes. Yes, Naverio, I'll go through the rapid fire questions. I'm going to go through all the questions that I usually ask people who come on my show. We're not almost done. We're actually at the halfway point here. So we'll answer, I think he wanted me to answer Pivots questions, or which one was it again? That you wanted me to answer, Stefan? Those you feel like answering. Okay. What is your favorite word? That's a good question. What's my favorite word? I don't know, there's lots of words that I like, but like how do I choose? Like maybe like serendipitous? That's a fun one to say. Serendipitous. Let's just go with that. Okay, what is my least favorite word? I'm just gonna go classic and say moist, okay? Or wait, no. I know. Uh, persons is my least favorite word because I hate when people use the word persons instead of people, and it's always in these weird contexts that don't make any sense. Anyways, what turns you on creatively, spiritually, emotionally? Um, uh, I'm a child. What turns me on spiritually, emotionally, creatively? I don't know, like ideas? Symmetry? I don't know. I don't know. What turns you off? No solutions? I don't know. Not sure. What's your favorite curse word? I probably shouldn't say curse words, but probably the C word or the F word maybe. Uh, what noise or sound do you love? I really like when Clark does this silent meow, um, where he like opens his mouth. Yes, 11. Yes, I 11 tickles. I know the C word is not very well taken, but in Australia it's yes, part of the culture. Anyways, what is your favorite sound? What sound do you love? I like when Clark does his silent meow. So he just looks at me and he opens his mouth, and it's just like, eh, eh. It's just a very silent meow, uh, and it's very cute. I like that sound. What sound do you hate? Well, conversely, I very much hate when Benny wants his food and starts screaming at the top of his lungs, which you'll probably end up hearing because we'll into their food time. You'll hear him screaming, and I really don't like that noise. It it hits the right tone in my ear that just I hate it. Um, but I still love him, of course. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt? Um, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, could be a lot of answers to this. Maybe like a chef or like a. What's something easy? I don't know. What profession would you not like to do? Well, actually, what profession would I like to do? I really did like being a waiter, or a bartender. I really enjoy that. Uh, I like taking care of people. So, what profession would I not like to do? I really wouldn't like to be like a security guard because you're on your feet all day and your job is to stand there and wait. I just can't do that. I can't. I would go insane. Uh, if heaven exists, what would you like God to say when you arrive at the pearly gates? This is getting way too... I shouldn't say anything here. Okay. Is there any other questions I want to answer? Not really. Not really. Okay. So let's move on to the good night, Neveria. Let's move on to the base questions. Oh, this is streaming the wrong thing. Okay. There's nothing that we missed here. I mean, I live in Canada. I live in Canada, in Alberta. I'm not going to get any more specific than that, but any hobbies or interests outside of puzzling? I already mentioned that. How do I balance puzzling with other things in life? Very poorly. Outside or inside person? Oh, I can also make this bigger also. Inside or outside person? I'm a very much inside person, but I like to go on walks outside. It's very good for me to get outside, but I don't really like going outside that much. Oh, I should move this up. Do I have any pets? Of course I have pets. I have my Clark and my Benny, and actually Clark's up and about, so I'm gonna go grab him. Clark. He's very happy to be grabbed. Where did the cats' names come from? Clark, I want to say I don't think there was any particular reason why we called him Clark. It was just sort of the name that I chose. No, it wasn't Superman. Clark Kent is spelled with a without an E, but Clark the cat is spelled with an E. I just thought that was a good name for him. And Benny, I don't know either, honestly. I don't think there was any real reason. We both like no with an E at the end, like how Daniel spelled it there. Yes, exactly. He chose the name Andrew. You're right. How could I be so silly? He chose the name, and Benny chose his name as well. Yes, he's taking a bath. Benny really wants to see his brother, so I'm gonna put his brother down. Um, okay, no worries. Uh, okay, so that handles that part. Okay, so now we come to what was the first puzzle? Do my cats go outside? No, they don't go outside actually. Uh, just do a live stream of my cats for 1K subscribers. It's a good idea. What was the first puzzle you ever set? What inspired that puzzle? Did it take a while to set? Were you inspired by how hard/easy it was? Are you still happy with that puzzle? Those are the questions that I have prepared for the original, or sorry, the base questions in my document here. Maybe I'll change this one to be the base questions. Go up here. Make that a little bit smaller. Okay. This is the first puzzle that I ever set. Yeah, it looks like a complete mess, huh? The rules are all standard, except it also has anti-knight and its disjoint sets. This was not the finished product, though. The finished product was this one, which is actually on LMD, and to my complete and utter dismay today, of course, this puzzle was featured on CTC. My first puzzle I ever made was featured on CTC. So this puzzle is called Disjoint Knights. It's the first puzzle I put on LMD, and it's the first puzzle I ever made. And it was actually featured on CTC by Mark, and I'm not sure why he featured it, to be honest, because I don't think it went to the testers. So I'll show you what I sent. Hey. That's not okay. Okay? Sorry, my silly kitty was trying to eat paper. I'll show you what I sent CTC. So I sent them an email, and I said, after I said the puzzle, of course, I sent them an email and I said, oh my word, can you stop? Sorry, Benny is really starved for attention today, I guess. Anyways, I sent them an email and I said, I've been watching the channel on a Patreon for just over a year now, a Lockdown fan, of course, and I've been interested in puzzle setting since I started watching. But never actually Chip, I'm not sure if I want to react to the solve. I mean, it's kind of an embarrassing one. But never managed to get anything to stick. I was recently playing with some ideas and decided, after watching Lucy Audrin's setting video, that I should just start putting things in the grid. I wanted to use disjoint sets with anti-knight as my base. Why? I don't know why. But I was finding it hard to get that to work alone. Well, no, duh. So I added some thermos and got something interesting. However, everything I tried would break. I took a few hours and came back to it. This time I tried palindromes instead of thermos. Sorry. By Isabella. I tried palindromes instead of thermos. Oh, sorry. I found the rule set was remarkably interesting for creating geometrical patterns of triples across disjoint groups. Oh no. See, this is where I went wrong. I wanted to use the triples across disjoint groups, which is a very bad deduction, by the way. Never use the pairs or triples across disjoint groups. It is very hard to see. I started this exercise without any numbers and tried to color the grid, which is possible, but only if you're really good at it. and have access to multicolor. Yes, it took many hours to color the whole grid, and I was not very good at it, by the way. I put constraints in to make sure that once the grid was colored, it would have a unique solution, and that is this terrible puzzle that I showed you before with all these odds and evens and stuff like that. Which by all accounts is a complete beast. Sorry, checking on my cats again, because they're being bad. Anyways, I went to the Discord proud of what I've done, but Panthera was happy to try it out and give feedback. I wasn't sure of what gender Panthera was, so I said they were immediately lost because there was no way to multicolor in F puzzles. Panthera's a girl, by the way, and it was practically impossible to figure out without that tool. And also it was a terrible puzzle. We talked for a bit, and I realized that I could make the puzzle much more elegant if I ditched the colors. Something Jovi would say is a good idea, which Panthera said was a good puzzle and quite fun, which is the one that got featured. I got another Discord member to test the puzzle, Uncle Josh. I don't know who Uncle Josh is, I have never met them again. We said it took him well over an hour, and it was very fun. I think what I learned here was that setting a puzzle means leading the solver on a path and not making the path incredibly obscure, which could be a good lesson for any starting setter. It is a good lesson for any starting setter, actually. Pairs and triples aren't bad enough with just... Yes. I just wanted to say thank you for inspiring me to set this puzzle and creating a community of people who support novice setters. And I mean that to today. And I also said, I hope one day I have an amazing puzzle that can be showcased on the channel. Just have to wait and see. So I did not submit this as sort of a, you should do this puzzle, I think it's great. I submitted it as sort of a, thank you. I'm so glad that I managed to set a puzzle, and I'm grateful that we have this community. And somehow it ended up being featured, which I'm not sure why Mark decided to feature it, but I'm kind of glad he did, but also, yeah, I'm not too proud of this one. It wasn't a very good puzzle. Yeah, but I was very proud in the moment when it was featured. I felt like I had achieved something amazing, but looking back on it, I'm not too too proud of it. But I mean, yeah, I feel like I would feel differently if it was like, I don't feel that about my other puzzles that were starting out, like my first few puzzles that weren't as good as the rest of them. I don't feel that they are as bad or to be ashamed of, but because it was featured, it feels weird. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not a very big person on like regrets or anything, but yeah. But it felt very good to have that featured. And Chris, I have had one puzzle past the 1 hour mark, and Simon solved Messier 43 the other week, actually, and that was over an hour. That was an hour and 13 minutes, which is the first one that I've had over an hour, which I don't think is something to be particularly proud of, but it is the first one of mine to go over an hour. Although I do understand it happens a lot that Simon does not see something for a very long time. When he may have been able to see it a little bit sooner. Anyways, so when did I first start watching CTC? I started with the Miracle Sudoku, and I've been solving for a long while before that. Yes, I actually have been solving for quite a while before that. I had a puzzle app which had irregular and a couple other disjoint as well, and anti-night Sudokus in it, and I was solving that, and I thought it was pretty cool. And there was a few other variants in there, but those were the main variants I solved before CTC, and I've solved Sudoku since I was a child. I used to time myself and do my little puzzle book, and then write out the times, and then find my average time in the entire book. I was terrible. I'm not a speed solver. I was actually just terrible. It would be like 15 minutes and I would bifurcate, and then I'd write it down 15 minutes. I'm so good. Uh, but I don't know why I was doing that. Yeah, but I have been solving Sudoku for a very long time. And interestingly enough, I discovered X-Wings on my own when solving Sudoku, classic Sudoku, in a book. I figured that out, and then I just wanted to use them all the time because I thought it was so cool. Yeah, but my first CTC feature was the same puzzle as my first puzzle. Describe in a few words what is my setting process. Well, my setting process is basically throw something into the grid, look at it a little bit, figure out what is interesting about it, what isn't interesting about it, and then get rid of everything, and then start to build a puzzle from scratch using what I've learned from just playing around with things. So that's generally how I go about setting a puzzle. From the concept to a finished puzzle is I'll just start playing around with things, messing with it. I don't really care where they go, and then I'll sort of clear the grid and then start setting from scratch. Sorry. Which of your puzzles was most important for your development as a setter? That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that one. So let me look at my list of puzzles here. I actually think this puzzle, which is called mitosis, was one of the most important puzzles for my development as a setter. Now, mitosis is not my best puzzle, and it's not my worst puzzle. It's got, I don't even know, like 118 solves. It's a 2-star puzzle, 94% on LMD. The digit must repeat on the arrow if allowed by other rules, and this was my first easier puzzle. Now, there have been puzzles in the past that have been 3-star from my page, but this was my first deliberately easier puzzle. And this was the first time that I really took that advice that I gave myself in the email. You don't have to be so obscure with the solve path. You can just have fun with it. I took that to another level where I was actually not looking to obscure the solve path. I was looking for ways to make the solve path easier, ways to make it more fun to solve. And I think this took me to another level where I was considering the experience of the solver more than I had ever thought about that before. Before, I was just thinking about the deductions and what I thought was beautiful and what I thought was interesting, but I wasn't thinking about what is the solver thinking about. I was just thinking, well, this is solvable, so you should be able to solve it. We'll get to that. We'll get to that soon, Andrew. That's definitely in the list of questions that I have here. How many puzzles do you create before you really find something that you like? So it really depends on the puzzle. I mean, sometimes I'll just create one puzzle and then it's done. Like, I don't want to touch it again, depending upon how long that puzzle has taken me. But a lot of the times I'll create one puzzle and then I'll even put it into testing and then I'll get some feedback on it. And then I'm like, I don't like that. Even if it's positive feedback, sometimes I realize that I wasn't happy with the puzzle when I put it in there. So then I'll change it around a little bit. I'll send it back, or private testing as well. There have been puzzles where I've sent like 7 versions in, and there are puzzles where I've sent only 1 version in. So it really varies from puzzle to puzzle. But yeah, I mean, it can be a lot of puzzles before I find something I really like. Do I talk about my ongoing projects to other setters? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. It depends whether I'm setting it in like one night or in several nights, because if I'm setting something in one night, then I usually don't talk to anyone about it. But if I stop setting something and then I start later, I usually end up talking to someone about it because I'm interested in what their thoughts about it are, because I spent enough time on it now that it feels like if this isn't worth pursuing, then I should know about it. But I do like to talk to other people about my ongoing projects, especially if they're causing me trouble. Have I done any collab? Oh, I skipped over a question actually. Talk about my most recent puzzle that I set. How did I go about doing it? My most recent puzzle that I set was actually Starlight. And you know exactly how I set that because it was a video. The puzzle before that I set, let me think here. I think it was actually, yeah, it was Messier 43 actually before that. And Messier 43 I talked a little bit about during the reaction to the video of it, but yeah, I don't really have a lot to talk about that. I mean, I mentioned most of the things in the moment when we were going through it, so if you want to hear about my most recent set, either watch Starlight or watch that not intro video, the video on Messier 43, because both of those are my most recent sets. Have I done any collaborative setting? Yes, of course I've done collaborative setting. I've done a ton of collaborative setting actually. I've done collabs with Grockles, Codec, Playmaker, Kagisho multiple times. I've done a collab with Clover. I've done a collab with Jovi. I've started a collab with Rift Clown. We never finished it. I've done a collab with Garlic Bread Fries. I've done a collab with SSG. I've done a collab with... There's one more, I can't remember his name. But it was... Morgamali or something like that. Morgamali? I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but something like that. I did a collab with him just recently, and it's not something that I would really... Yeah. More... I don't know how to pronounce that. It's just a mess of letters. I don't... No, I don't think I've done a collab with Neverio. I started a collab with KNT, and we were going to bring Neverio onto that, but it ended up... We didn't make it into anything. And in that same vein, I worked with Colot a little bit, Emery Colot ago. Morgali. Yeah, probably. Sorry, got a spam call there. Anyways, And what value have I gotten from collaborative setting experience? It's great to collaborate with people. Who would I like to collab with? I'd like to collab with a bunch of people. I mean, I'd love to collab with. I can't think of any names off the top of my head for some reason. Uh, I've always wanted to collab with 2 to 10th. Who else? Tall Cat. People that I get along with generally, or that I talk with regularly. Neverio for sure. KNT for sure. If we could finish something. Rift Cloud if we could finish that. I mean, I'm open to collabing with pretty much anyone. Uh, I love collaborating. And what value do I think I've gotten out of collaborative setting experiences? Well, I think it's really valuable to bounce ideas off of each other and to gain insight from other people's way of looking at puzzles. And it's been really valuable to do these interviews with people to get an idea of how they think about setting puzzles. I made the joke on, I want to say it was it the last interview where I said that I've been trying to get all the knowledge from all the setters and put it into my head to become the ultimate setter. But that's essentially what I like doing with collaborative setting is like combining ideas together to make cool ideas that are completely fresh. I know we mentioned Kagito's Kagito and mine's sharing is caring. I think that puzzle is really good, and it's a really good example of how you can do a collaboration and create something that you could have never created with just the one each of you uh, individually, because that rule set was developed because I had some weird idea, and then Kagisho had this weird adaptation to the idea, so it just wouldn't exist without without the collaboration. Anyways, what piece of advice? Uh, what is a piece of advice you have received early on in your setting career that has really helped you? I mean, there's the base example with Panthera helping me to realize that you don't need to be so obscure with the rules. Not the rules, sorry. Be so obscure with the solve path that you can sort of just allow the setter to actually be able to do things and actually be able to solve things and figure it out. Because trying to obscure the solve path is not fun for anyone, and it just makes your life harder and it makes their life harder. So don't try to obscure the solve path. It's not you against the solver. You're trying to help the solver to solve this puzzle, is essentially the advice I received. Another piece of advice I would say that I received early on is codec helped me to realize that when a puzzle is done, it's not just done. You should look at the clues and think about what value they have to the solve and whether or not you can replace or change them in a way that will make the solve more interesting. And I talked a little bit about that before in another stream, but yeah, in Codec's interview, I think. Any piece of advice you hear often that you disagree with? I don't really agree with people saying like, oh, you can't include like the word set in the name if it's a set deduction. I don't really think that matters. I get why people think that. I don't really think it matters. uh, so that's something that I don't think is a really good piece of advice because it just I think it just makes people feel bad if they've done that, really, and it doesn't really help anything. Sorry. Again, the nose, the nose. Thank you for coming out, David Ratner. Uh, talk about what you're currently working on. Give us a sneak peek into your process. Well, I'm not working on any puzzle currently, actually. Yeah, I haven't started any new projects, so I can't really give you a sneak peek because I'm not working on anything. How often do you go looking for puzzles to solve, and where do you look? I don't often go looking for puzzles to solve these days, because the only puzzles I usually solve are puzzles that people send me and they say, I would really like you to solve this puzzle. And it's usually people who want me to private test a puzzle. KNT reaches out to me often to ask me that. A lot of times I can't actually solve the puzzle because it takes too long to solve and I don't have enough time, but yeah, that's usually when I'm solving puzzles. That's funny, Ender's August. Um, yeah, so I don't really go looking for puzzles these days. What makes you want to solve something versus not solve something? If the grid's really messy, I usually don't really want to solve it, or if the rule set is too long, I don't want to solve it. So that basically, if I have to read more than 2 paragraphs, I'm usually not very interested in doing that. So I usually won't try to solve something if it has a very long rule set that I can't condense down into something that is like 2 sentences, essentially. Um, or at least that I can understand in a moment. Like if there's a rule set that's really long, but each of the parts is something that I'm already familiar with, then it's not a big deal. But or if I don't even have to read the rules, essentially. Do you find more enjoyment? Do you find more enjoyment in setting or solving? I think I find more enjoyment in setting personally. I would really love to solve more puzzles, but I really just don't have time to solve a ton of puzzles. And setting, I usually do either because I have an idea and I need to get it out, or because I'm doing it for the channel. And would you set puzzles if no one would solve them? Absolutely. I love setting puzzles, and I would set puzzles even if I was the only person on Earth, or if no one actually wanted to solve my puzzles. I think I would still set them because I really enjoy setting puzzles. I know there are lots of people like that who will set just a ton of puzzles all the time. And I know some people solve them, but there's no way that they can get all the solves if they're setting 60 puzzles a day. Um, where do your ideas come from? What's your source of inspiration? Uh, Other puzzles. I mean, I watch sometimes CTC or Zeta and I think of ideas from those. It might not even be related, but I often think of ideas from other puzzles. I don't solve as much as I used to, but when I did solve, that's sort of where my ideas would come from, is what I solved. And then sometimes ideas just pop into my head. I do have shower thoughts about Sudoku. How do you come up with your puzzle names? I think I'm pretty similar to most people in that I just sort of, the first thing that comes to my head, I name it whatever I want. Sometimes I'll go into the voice chat and ask what they think I should name the puzzle or something like that, and that's always been fun. That's how Quasimodo's ears got named. And I think my best name is Diagonal Bikel, because it's just so ridiculous and so stupid. It just has to be that. When I set non-Sudokus, do I set in the same way as I set Sudoku? Well, I haven't set that many non-Sudokus. I've set a few Akaris, and I've set a few cave puzzles, and a couple other genres. But I don't really set in the same way that I set Sudoku. In Sudoku, I usually end up thinking more about what the clues are going to do before I put them in. But when I did set a ring. When I set a non-Sudoku, I usually don't think too much about what the thing is going to do before I put it in, because I don't have as much intuition about non-Sudoku yet, so I can't really usually see all the implications, and there's usually many implications of a clue when you're putting it in. So yeah, it's definitely not the same thing, and there's a big difference between a lot of pencil puzzles have these like sort of negative ideas where if there isn't a clue there, then it's a completely different puzzle. Like for example, in Ring Ring, if you don't have a black cell in some cell, then you're going to need to have a ring in there. But you don't know if there's a black cell there until you put a black cell there or not. And if you don't decide that, then, you know, it's very different than something like Sudoku, where you know that every cell has to have a digit unless you have some kind of weird rule set. So it's very different in that sense. Benny, stop that. The life of a parent. I'm just messing. Who tests your puzzles? I usually just put my puzzles into the testing submissions, but I also ask Kagisho to test my puzzles often, because I trust his judgment. I've asked Vebi to test my puzzles once or twice, but I usually don't have like a private bank of testers. I try to use the community because I think it's useful to get feedback from people who are different every time. How do I craft a rule set? Is not a question that I usually end up asking, honestly, but I usually end up writing a rule set from the beginning and then sticking with it throughout. I might change one or two details of it, but usually it's pretty consistent throughout. What's your biggest puzzling regret? Okay. Well then. Okay. Yeah. That's not cool. It doesn't get rid of that from the video. Okay. I have to deal with that. What's your biggest puzzling regret? Well, I definitely regret not getting that faster, but I think I also regret. I think there's quite a few regrets, to be honest. There's definitely a few puzzles that I've published that I don't think I'd publish today. Um, I was definitely someone who felt like I needed to put out a puzzle every week or every few days or something like that to keep up with my audience or something stupid like that. But I don't think I should have been doing that. I think I should have been more carefully selecting what I wanted to put out and slower, putting out slower and with more ease. I Oh my word. Sorry, I didn't notice that until just now. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'll mod UF Jam. Okay, so where was I? I definitely regret some of the puzzles. I think I probably regret bottoms up. Um, oh my word. This person is very relentless, huh? Um, I think I regret bottoms up. I think it was just a bad idea to do in a regular 159 puzzle. It wasn't a good puzzle. And I don't really think it belongs on my LMD page, but it's there, so I'm not sure I want to remove it. I also kind of I regret a few of these, but nothing as much as bottoms up. Not too happy with that one. I also regret making like the lock chain too hard, for example. But anyways, uh, what is the most insert setter's name here? The puzzle that you've made most memoristory. No, I'm not gonna remove everything. The lock chain is good, but I think I made it a little bit too hard. I think it just shouldn't be that hard. Hello, Directionary. So what puzzle encapsulates the essence of my setting style? Um, I think it's very hard to give like a I think I have two distinct parts of my style, and I think one of them is very well represented in this region sum lines for Zeta Math that I made, the 1K region sums line puzzle. I think that very well represents my ability to find something interesting, something new that isn't too hard, and to just make the puzzle flow really nicely. I think that's part of my setting style. And then the other puzzle which I feel like represents my setting style, I feel like is probably one of my killer Sudokus. I kind of want to say... I kind of want to say pinch yourself, because I feel like that is definitely the whole something being in these two columns of these two boxes, so that being forced on the other side of another box in the column, or like where does this digit go in this column because it's in this side of this box and this side of this box. That deduction is something that I really like and I really put into a lot of my puzzles. So that being central to this idea is definitely something that makes me want to say this encapsulates my setting style. I'm not sure if this fully encapsulates all of the aspects of my setting style, but I feel like it definitely hits on a lot of them. How long does it take me to set? Well, on the low end, it has taken me 30 minutes to set something. Specifically, Snakes and Ladders was 30 minutes. And it's a pretty decent puzzle. I wouldn't say it's my best puzzle, but it's a pretty decent puzzle for 30 minutes. And the absolute longest it's taken me to set something, probably like I want to say like 80 hours is probably a good ballpark for some of the more involved setting processes. I know that I want to say Thinkies, the Miracle Chaos Construction, and I'll bring up on screen. I think this probably took 80 hours from like the beginning of when I wanted to set something like this to the end of when I set this, because this went through so many iterations, and like this was the thing that Canty and I were sort of collabing on, and then it changed into something else, and then changed into something else, and I was trying to make this for so long. It took an unreasonable amount of time to set. So I will focus on something and set it for an unreasonable amount of time if I feel like I really want to finish the idea. But my average set is probably around, I would say about 5 to 10 hours, maybe. Probably more like 2, I guess, on the average. Maybe 3 or 4. Yeah, something around 2 to 5 in average, I think. And then the harder end would be like 10 is usually like if I'm struggling to set something, and then it starts to get up way high if I'm like really, really, really spending multiple weeks trying to set something. Yes, I mean, I do move on and I set other things in the meantime, but I always come back to these things that I'm trying to set. There's one puzzle that I've been trying to set for months, and I've been trying to set it in a variety of ways. I've already set 2 versions of it, and I didn't like either of them. So it's on this one deduction where if you consider a palindrome equal some ambiguity, that you can determine that something, something, something. But it's a really nice deduction, and I really want to use it, but I'm finding it difficult to build a puzzle around it. So I keep leaving that one. What environment do I prefer to set in? I usually set on the couch while sitting. I try not to set I have about 100 puzzles in various stages of development. Jeez, Andrew, that's crazy. Um, I prefer to sit while I'm setting. I usually don't use my standing desk while I'm setting. Uh, Otherwise, my feet will hurt after a while because, yeah, I mean, I have to specify that, of course. So I usually end up on the couch with my laptop on my lap and setting, and I'll usually get too focused, too hyper focused. So I'll be sitting there setting by myself in a room that is completely quiet for multiple hours. So I don't usually set with music on. I don't usually set with crowds or in public spaces. I usually set by myself, focused alone. So I think that's the only environment that I've set in, other than once I sat in a car ride, uh, in a 2 hour car ride, um, and I had music in as well. So I guess that's what I'm capable of, but I don't think that would say that I was at my peak when I was setting that. But that was featured, so. How would you describe your reputation as a constructor? I want to say my reputation is that oh, goodbye, Daniel. Have a good night. I want to say that my reputation is that I like I like to think about things a lot and uh, challenge my own perceptions. But I don't know if that's actually true. I really feel like I have done a lot of different genres of Sudoku variants. So I feel like, in a way, my reputation is that I'm quite versatile as a constructor. Uh, and I like, some people have mentioned that I have a magic in my puzzles where the deductions sort of they work, and it doesn't seem like they should be working, but they just sort of work together. Everything works together in a very cohesive way, and I really like when people describe that. It's been multiple people who have done that, so I'm glad that that's sort of a perception that people have of me. I'm not sure if that part of it matches with what I think of myself, but I do feel like I've come a long way in puzzle setting, and I feel that I think in a very non-linear way, not like a lot of other people. So sometimes when people are approaching things and they're finding these deductions, it's not actually how I thought about it. So it feels like weird and abnormal to think about because it's not set up in the same way that you would normally set it up, because I wasn't thinking about it in the same way that normal people would be thinking about it, or other people would be thinking about it, like the vast majority of people. Do I have specific solvers or setters that I solve from when I'm looking for experience or inspiration? Um, I have specific solvers or setters that I solve from regularly, like Can, T, and Kagisho, andZetamath, because sometimes they ask me to solve their puzzles, but I don't really look for inspiration in other puzzles. It just happens. I'm not like going and searching for inspiration. It just sort of happens that I come across inspiration in a puzzle. Are there specific puzzles that you solve that has a massive impact on how you view puzzles? Um, I want to say like Renban Dance by Kodak was quite inspirational in that it felt like it was such a novel way to use that rule set in a way that no one else had used that rule set, so that it felt like there was still ways to improve upon rule sets that were very known about. So that had a big impact on me, I think. Is there something that other setters do that annoys you? Is there any puzzling pet peeve that I have? I really don't like when people put graphics on the puzzle grid. I get why they do it, but I don't like it. Sorry. It kind of makes me not want to solve the puzzle because I can't really see what's going on with the puzzle before I step into it, which is why I don't really like that so much. And it's not like it's not like I would judge anyone for doing that. It's just it's not something that I enjoy personally. Pet peeve while setting. I really don't like when something feels like it's really restricted and it's flowing and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden it breaks. I really don't like rule sets like that. They get my hopes up and then they crash them down, which sucks. So I don't like that at all. Where did my name come from? Obviously, I talked about my research before. It's in these things called Memeristors, and my name comes from that Memeristor. Memeristor. That's basically it. One of my friends said, "Oh, you work with those Memeristors, don't you?" And I said, "I like that. I think I'll use that for something." And then I needed a username, so then I used Memerister. Why don't I specialize in one variant? We already touched on that. We already did that question with Joby's question. We already did what question would you want to be asked and what's your answer to it. What's the best piece of feedback you've ever gotten on a puzzle? I think the best piece of feedback I've ever gotten would probably, sorry, tired. We're almost done actually. The best piece of feedback I've ever gotten. I'm not sure about that one actually. Probably just like it was good or bad or any feedback at all. I really appreciate any feedback on my puzzle. What is the best LMD comment you've ever read? Oh, was I want to say yes, this one on Messier 43 Fismafel had commented, "I can confidently say that there is not a single trap I haven't stumbled into. Nevertheless, you make me find a lot of the very neat deductions in your puzzle. Thank you, Rister." And I thought that was quite a funny comment, and something that I wanted to note as one of my favorites. What's the best comment on YouTube you've ever read? On one of my puzzles, of course. I really like all the comments that say like, "This is my first time solving a hard puzzle," or "I'm so glad I solved this one," or something like that. I really enjoy those comments. So if you solve a puzzle, comment that. Makes me feel good. Yeah, okay. Now I've saved the rapid questions for last for some reason. Now I'm tired. So we're going to do the rapid questions as fast as we can uh, at the end here. Okay, rapid fire questions. Local or global deductions? Local, of course. Coloring or good living? Good living. Geometry or arithmetic? Geometry. Penpa or F puzzles? Penpa, I want to say, for setting. For solving, Penpa, F puzzles, or CTC? CTC, I want to say. Sudoku or pencil puzzles? Sudoku. I have to go with Sudoku, even though I love pencil puzzles. Chaos or order? Chaos. Cages or lines or dots? I think lines. It's very close between cages and lines, but I think lines because, yeah, I mean, I love killer cages, but lines, like, lines can be so many different things, and killer cages can only be one thing. Yes, I know. Anyways, to disambiguate a puzzle, given or a clue, I would say given. A given usually disambiguates it in a cleaner way. A clue, you can sometimes spend way too long looking for the right clue to disambiguate something, and it's just a waste of time. Outside or inside clues, inside clues, I think. Outside clues, I'm not a really big fan of. Yeah, I know killer cages can do a lot of things, but I think in general, I would say lines over cages because like there are so many different types of lines, and I love a lot of different types of lines. And together, I think Renban and Equal Sum together beat out Killer for me. But Killer by itself, if I just had to pick one, that would beat out the rest of them. But since it's lines, yes, I know you're teasing. I know. And I think that brings us. Yes, clearly that was Memeristor. Yeah, you can always build cages with lines, with edges. I think that brings us to the end of all the questions. So I don't think I have anything else that I need to get into. I mean, again, going back to the question about what's the future of the channel. I mean, like, I'd love to do a lot of things, but I just don't have the time or the finances to do it. So if you want to share the content, if you want to support me financially, that's really, you're helping me do things that I really enjoy doing. So thank you. Because I have a new webcam, and that's funded from you guys, so thanks. And I'll put on the patrons or the patrons up on screen just for and I'll change David Ratner's name publicly to have 2 T's because it does have 2 T's. Whoopsie. But thanks everyone for coming out. And thank you for the 500 subs, and have a good rest of your night.